Dr. Richard.
Well, it was great to see the uptick in participation, especially at that secondary level.
Yes.
That has been lower than the other levels, and yet it's great to see that coming up a bit. And you said basically it has more to do with the kinds of offerings that there are, and that tends to bring it up a little bit.
Yes, and if I could get a breakdown of what that looks like this year, I didn't. That's actually one thing that I don't include, are the different levels, although it's comprehensive in this format. It's not by each of the specific classes. That is something that our council looks at when.
And that's.
Yes. So, okay,
you don't want that?
Okay.
I will leave that to you.
We do.
And then the focuses that on 23, the focus of scaffolding for EL students, culturally responsive teaching, those have been there for a bit. Do you have a sense of where we are on scaffolding for EL students district-wide? Is that something that at least half of our teachers have had classes on, or?
I do not. Well, this is what I know, actually. Around scaffolding for EL students, we actually did more comprehensive, so that it wasn't just based on, because summer professional development is optional, we did get about 50%. I'd say about 50% of our staff trained in grades 4 through 8 last year with that first layer of training. It's not that forever training.
And that's also coming from that unified improvement plan.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And so this year it's continuing and deepening that, that idea of what does scaffolding really look like? How do you really use some strategies and techniques effectively to make sure that it's not about bringing content down, it's about providing that access into the content. So what are the things that we do differently so that if this is what they need to learn, it's not brought down to this level, it's left here, and we provide, that's what it means, that scaffold in. So about 50% of our teachers went through that initial training last year. We provided additional, you know, with anyone, it's do I need to hear it one time? Do I want to hear it again? Do I want to think about it differently? Now that I've actually had time to work in it, so we provided some of that same training last year, or over the summer, maybe at a little deeper, not so short, and kind of fire hose it, you know, with an hour and a half of early release time. It's a lot harder, or maybe 4 hours if you're lucky. That's a lot different than saying a couple of 7.5-hour days in the summer when you don't have to go back and hit the ground running tomorrow with kids, and you can really kind of decompress and think about it. So we offered more of that this summer. And then this year, in year 2, we continue with that work and planning around what that looks like, so that we're really getting 100% of our teacher staff trained in that initial or phase 2 of that work around EL.
Okay, and so those specific areas of focus, the culturally responsive teaching, that's been there for a couple years, and that's been an emphasis of the district to get people involved in that. We're probably getting to a saturation point there, perhaps.
No.
Okay.
That's a good one. We actually haven't. We've put it on there. It's been really hard to crack. You mentioned that earlier, like crack that nut. And what does that look like, and what do people really mean when they say they want that culturally responsive teaching? We've done a 101 class, and we've had a lot of teachers over the course of 3 summers, I believe, do that culturally proficient 101 class. This year we did, and that's been very successful. People have really enjoyed that. I know it's changed, you know, how they go about instruction perhaps in their classroom. So that's probably reached 150 to 200 teachers, which is certainly not everyone.
Yeah, okay.
Then we had about just shy of 40 teachers take the 102 class this summer. And UNC professors and folks came in and taught that, led by Dr. Tobias Guzman. And that, I still hear people talk about it. We need to think about a way of being around our cultural responsive teaching, and not just something we do. And we've really just scratched the surface on that.
So it's kind of an interesting thing then, because there are some, we talk about teachers self-selecting into information that they need, and yet there are things also at a district level that we may feel are important to us as a district, that all employees have a background in certain
And I
areas
would
of
say that,
information.
I would add further that just if a teacher hasn't taken that class, then they aren't trained in that. I would not say that. I think that would be an oversimplification.
Right.
But I think in order to really have it be a way in which we work, we want to be similar in our approach, similar in our understanding, have that language
Have that
in
knowledge
which to
base,
talk
yeah.
about what
Yeah.
does that mean to be culturally responsive to my students. So
Okay, those are interesting ones. The Colorado Academic Standards, that's going to be
Yeah.
there for a while. Data
Right.
team process, that's still coming on. And of course, the really early, into the blended learning piece. One other question I had is there were, page 60 or so, the survey,
Yeah.
the questions seemed really pertinent for the council to be able to get information to know what's working, what's not working. And you had around 2,000 participants who gave you feedback on that. And there were about 4,000-ish participants overall. So
Right.
would you say you got a 50% return rate, or?
Yes. So I am going to, so here it is. So we did get about 2,000 respondents, which actually is about 100, it's just shy of probably 100% of the teachers that took part in any class that we sponsored outside of. We don't do it for Leadership Team Institute. There are different ways that the different facilitators gather feedback on that, and they don't use, this survey doesn't apply as well to that Leadership Institute as it does for classes, say, on backward planning in the K-2 math classroom. The other one, that anytime we have an out-of-district trainer, we haven't used that. They have their own that they typically use, so like the Boys Town training. There's a UNC math circles. I'm just trying to think of a couple. We had John Zola. John Zola, we did do it, but he also gave his as well. So a lot of times with those outside people, you don't. And then there's 225 people that are included in that did the vertical teaming kickoff and the vertical teaming, 3 or 4 days, and they do not. So there's about another 1,000 people that just between the Leadership Institute, vertical teaming, and Boys Town that don't use that survey. So really, I guess what I would want you to know is that there's lots of professional learning that we call, it's very broad. When it's a class that one of our facilitators or trainers teaches, then we do use this survey. And that does capture all of them in those classes. So the vast majority of those, you have this, the response to those.
Well, and then that makes that return rate really pretty high.
It does.
When you knock out those others. So that explains that, and that's good information for the council to make decisions with. So
Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
question.
Mr. Hafley.
I really appreciate what you and your group have done, increasing the number of choices that our educators have. One of the things that I really like is that, to me, this is a sign of professionalism for our educators, that they get to self-differentiate what they need to take. I think sometimes as a district we mandate too many PDs that don't fit their needs.
Right.
And in the summertime they get to choose what they'd like to take, and I think that's a very positive thing for them, and I'm very appreciative of what you have to offer for them.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Other comments? Dr. Dettery, I think it's obvious that the board is interested in respecting the very precious time that our staff invests in professional development.
Yes.
It's a center of your life, trying to keep track and planning. And I'm impressed with approximately 80% of the participants saying, this is something I'm satisfied with or more than satisfied with. This speaks to this concern that, are we doing the right combination? Are we offering the right things? And from what you're offering tonight, this is very an important aspect of the data you're giving us as a board to hear. Okay, now 80%, that's not a bad return on the investment, and keeping your ear to that pulse would be essentially our request, I'm sure, to continue those efforts to be successful at tapping the interests of our staff and offering them ongoing training in perhaps new areas. So we thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate your time this evening.
The next item, Dr. Dattery, I think will make you stay where you are, actually, even though you may wish to be done with us.
I am not. I apologize.
And District Accountability Committee President Ken Watts is also going to join Dr. Dattery at the podium. And we thank you, sir, for your participation and your patience this evening, and welcome.
Well,
Dr.
thank
Dattery.
you for the reminder. This actually is very important work, and we appreciate your time tonight. As you mentioned, Mr. Ken Watts is our chair of the District Accountability Committee, and we are pleased to be able to present to you this evening on an action item. As per state law, the following actions are required by the local school board. It is one, to approve the membership of the District Accountability Committee, as well as to approve the membership of the school accountability committees. To provide you a little background on these committees, the Colorado Department of Education publishes a District Accountability Handbook, and on its website to provide an outline of the requirements and the responsibilities per state law for state, district, and school stakeholders within the state's accountability process. This was established, actually, by the Education Accountability Act of 2009, and it was Senate Bill 163. This 2014 Accountability Handbook has been updated to incorporate the change in focus from parent involvement to family involvement. So that was just a minor change, but significant from that aspect as well of what family is. So Ken's going to share a little bit more with you about the responsibilities and what we do.
Thank you. The Board of Education is responsible for either appointing or creating a process for elected members of a District Accountability Committee. The process in Greeley-Evans School District 6, as outlined in the bylaws revised 2014, has been to have a representative from each school serve on the District Accountability Committee. Please see the enclosed documents for a complete list of the members of the District Accountability Committee for 2014-2015. In addition, you will also find the District Accountability Committee bylaws as stated from the District Accountability Handbook. Based on the statutory revisions reflected in the District Accountability Handbook, the Board of Education charges the District 6 District Accountability Committee with specific responsibilities during the 2014-2015 school year. The District Accountability Committee will, 1, submit recommendations to the Board of Education about priorities for spending school district monies. The District Accountability Committee will make reasonable efforts to consult in a substantive manner with the school accountability committees regarding spending priorities. The Budget Advisory Committee will make recommendations to the District Accountability Committee, and the District Accountability Committee will prioritize these recommendations for the board as required by the statute. All Budget Advisory Committee recommendations will also be provided to the board. 2, submit recommendations to the local school board concerning preparation of the district's performance, improvement, priority improvement, or turnaround plan, whichever is applicable. 3, review any charter school applications received by the Board of Education, and if the Board of Education receives a charter school renewal application, and upon the request of the district, and at the District Accountability Committee's option, reviewing any renewal application prior to consideration by the local school board. 4, at least annually, cooperatively determine with the local school board the areas and issues, in addition to the budget issues, that the DAC should study and make recommendations upon. 5, at its options, meet at least quarterly to discuss whether district leadership, personnel, and infrastructure are advancing or impeding implementation of the district's performance, improvement, priority improvement, or turnaround plan, whichever is applicable. 6, provide recommendations to the principals on an advisory basis concerning the development and use of assessment tools to measure and evaluate student academic growth as relates to teacher evaluations. 7, consult with all required stakeholders with regard to federally funded activities. 8, publicize opportunities to serve and solicit parents to serve on the DAC. 9, assist the district in implementing the district's family engagement policy. And 10, assist school personnel to increase families' engagement with educators including families' engagement in creating students' read plans, individual career and academic plans, and plans to address habitual truancy.
So the timeline in which the District Accountability Committee will report to the Board of Education include, in addition to this evening, is in January of 2015, the District Accountability will present the District Improvement Plan for the Board to approve. And in 2015, we will, in joint work with other committees, make recommendations for the use of district's money, along with the District Accountabilities Committee review and comments around priorities that they believe should be forwarded to the Board of Education. So each school is responsible for establishing a school accountability committee by law, and you can see the enclosed document for the complete memberships of each of the school accountability committees. You will also find more information about the composition of school accountability committees and their responsibilities at the local school level. So we appreciate your time, and if you have any questions before you take action, we would be happy to answer them.
Let's entertain a motion to this effect from a board member, please, and then, no, that's fine.
I would move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the membership of the district and school accountability committees and the responsibilities of the District Accountability Committee as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions? Dr. Richard, please.
So a question I have is that we don't have the information from Northridge, and so if we accept it as written, that could be problematic. And I'm also wondering about Salida del Sol, if they needed to be on here to be in compliance.
So I can tell you that we have asked, and specifically at Insoon, principal at Northridge, has completely been unable to get anyone to serve on her school accountability committee. She has done numerous different things to try to get a committee going. She has different activities. She's tried to combine committees, and that just has not been one to stick. And so
We are where we are.
we are. And I apologize to the extent of which she has really worked, though, to try to get that. And I said it is what it is. So,
And then as to Salida del Sol,
I think we'll have to bring those back to you when we get
That's fine.
a person appointed. So.
right.
It's an ongoing mission in a couple of areas. Otherwise, we can accept this as read.
I don't think we should delay the approval of the whole committee.
oh, no,
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 I
no. I
agree.
didn't know if we needed to amend the motion,
To accept
To accept
additional
addition, yeah,
volunteers.
or information.
Does it need to be amended?
I don't know how to do it.
Or a subsequent meeting, introduce other names.
Lola?
It would be okay, I think, so. I'd have to look at the motion again you want to alter it to accept the additional members as they're identified?
If,
That would be the
It'd be
simplest.
if that
simplest.
would be, yeah, which would be fine.
Someone to take that on, to make that adjustment?
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, Doug.
On the fly.
So amended to accept additional volunteers as identified.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the best way.
Second.
Thank you very much. Can we get a second on that motion? That amended?
Second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, Ms. Bria.
Mr. DeWitt,
Aye.
Mr. Haefele,
Aye.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak,
Aye.
Dr. Richard,
Aye.
Mr. Richardson,
Aye.
Mrs. Solis.
Aye.
And if memory
Thank you
serves
very
me right,
much.
we've done that before, so.
It has happened before.
Okay.
Yeah, has
All
it?
right.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Watts, thank you so very much for your participation. Please extend our thanks to all the Saxon DACs that we can
Sure will,
find.
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think it's.
Dr. Datter, thank you.
We have to accept.
Next to sign.